Welcome back to the chess arena. Today we witness another storm in the Grand Swiss 2025. The world champion, Gukesh D, sits with the white pieces, facing the Greek grandmaster Nikolas Theodorou, and what unfolds is his second consecutive heartbreaking loss in this tournament. Let's dive in, move by move. The game begins with Gukesh pushing his pawn to e4. Nikolas replies with pawn to e5. White develops knight to f3. Black immediately mirrors with knight to f6. We have the Petrov Defense on the board. And here, Gukesh dives into sharp waters. He plays knight takes e5, grabbing the pawn. Nikolas strikes back with pawn to d6, chasing the knight. Gukesh calmly retreats knight back to f3. But Nikolas reclaims space. Knight takes e4. Now pawn to d4, striking the center. Black pushes pawn to d5. A tense battlefield is born. Bishop comes to d3, targeting Black's knight. Nikolas responds with bishop to d6, holding firm. Both sides castle. White castles first, then Black castles short. Pawn advances to c4. Black stabilizes with pawn to c6. Gukesh drives forward, pawn to c5, locking the queen side. Black's bishop retreats to c7, eyeing the diagonal. White's knight jumps to c3. Black develops bishop to f5. And now comes the first flash of tactics. Knight leaps to g5, menacing. Nikolas strikes, knight takes c3. Gukesh recaptures with pawn takes c3. Black's queen swings out to f6, centralizing. White launches pawn to g4, pushing aggressively. Nikolas calmly eliminates the bishop on d3. Gukesh recaptures with queen takes d3. Black slides queen to g6, offering exchanges. Queens come off the board. White's queen takes g6, Black's pawn takes g6. White centralizes rook to e1. Black maneuvers knight to a6, preparing counterplay. Rook swings to b1, eyeing Black's queenside. Nikolas pushes pawn to b6. Rook slides to b3, putting pressure. Black's rook lifts to e8. Rook from e1 takes rook on e8. Black recaptures with rook takes e8. White doubles pressure, rook to a3. Black's rook lunges to e1 with check. King to g2. Rook crashes down to c1. White strikes back. Rook takes pawn on a6. Black calmly develops bishop to d8. Knight to f3. King to f8, stepping away from checks. Rook takes another pawn on a7. Black pushes pawn to b takes c5, gaining counterplay. Knight to e5, planting firmly in the center. Bishop to f6, aiming at the knight. Rook takes f7 with check. Black's king escapes to e8. White rook retreats to a7. Black gobbles another pawn. Rook takes c3. White brings rook to a8 with check. Black king steps to e7. White knight takes pawn on c6 with check. King retreats to d7. Knight jumps back to e5 with check again. Black decides to simplify. Bishop takes knight on e5. White recaptures, pawn takes e5. Black pushes pawn to d4, activating the passed pawn. Pawn to f4, fighting back. Black advances, pawn to d3, rolling dangerously. Rook to a6, hunting counterplay. Black pushes pawn to c4. Here Gukesh needs to find the only good move, king to f2, centralizing his king to stop Black's connected passed pawns. However, under time pressure, he plays rook to a7 check. Nikolas calmly answers with king to e8. Gukesh keeps checking. Rook to a8, rook to a6. But Nikolas skillfully dances his king between light and dark squares, refusing to be trapped. Finally, Black's rook rushes to c2 with check. White's king moves to f3. Pawn pushes to d2. Rook to d8, but Black advances pawn to c3. White pushes pawn to e6, his last hope. And then, the killer blow, Black's rook to c1. Gukesh resigns. And there it is. The world champion, Gukesh, suffers his second consecutive heartbreaking loss in the Grand Swiss 2025. A brilliant defensive effort by Nikolas Theodorou, who seized his chances and converted flawlessly. For Gukesh, the road gets harder, but the fight is far from over. If you enjoyed this game breakdown, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and become a member to support our chess storytelling. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, consider hitting the super thanks button. Every bit of support helps us bring you more epic chess battles, where legends rise and champions fall.